Good. Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining tonight's meeting. We are so excited. We'll be starting soon, but in the meantime, for those of you that are on, please drop your name, your pronouns, what city you're joining us from, and why you joined today. Hey everyone, hi Carla. Hey Kevin. Hey David. Arlington crew is strong today. Yes, always. Super excited for this evening's meeting. We've got a lot going on, so much to share with you all, so much to fill you in on, and it's election day. So with 30 minutes before the polls close, if you haven't already voted, or text your friends, your family members to get out there. So really, really exciting day to be with everyone. Hi, Millie. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm glad our OR text reminder worked. Hey, Cole. Thanks for joining from Fort Worth. As we mentioned earlier, please drop your name, your pronouns, what city you're in, why you're joining us today. And also, because it's a few days after Halloween, let us know something fun you did or your Halloween candy. Your favorite Halloween candy, I should say. Hey, Claude. Hey, Parker. Ooh, Clayton, Snickers are really good. I love that. Text the revolution. Yes, Carla. Text everyone you know and tell them to join tonight's meeting and also go vote. Awesome. Well, again, thank you all so much for joining us. It's November's North Texas meeting. We have a jam-packed agenda and we're so excited to kick it off with you. All right, so we will briefly go over our principles. We also have a really important chapter report that covers our block walk for Brandon Murden. Remember, today's election day, so we will likely know the results to Brandon's race tonight on the call, which is super exciting. There's also the November prop position recommendations. We'll share our North Texas strategic meeting updates. We've got some really great events lined up, including a redistricting debrief with Rep. Jasmine Crockett this Saturday. We have a guest speaker, Nat, who's going to tell us all about the Malaya movement in Texas. We'll go to our breakout rooms and so many ways to get involved. And of course, the most important part of tonight is the election night check-in. There's a lot going on today. So with that, again, thank you all so much for joining us, and I'm going to turn it over to Carla.
Thanks, Diana. Hey, everybody. We're super excited y'all joined us tonight. Thank you for your time. We're just going to go over some quick principles that we have as OR North Texas, just to make sure that we have a very productive and positive meeting. So again, please be respectful to everybody in this space. Treat everyone the way that you would like to be treated. We all have different ideas and opinions, but this is a safe space for everyone. Please do not attack anyone. If this does occur, for any disagreements get out of hand, we'll have to boot you from the call. Also, we ask that if any candidates are joining, or if you are supporting a candidate who's not endorsed, please do not spam our chat or just promoting that information here today. We have a jam-packed call, as Diana mentioned, on the agenda, and we just want to use that space for that today. Also, when we organize, we win. So these meetings are being conducted in the most productive way that we can, and this is how we get things done here in North Texas. Make sure that we elect amazing progressives who are going to push amazing progressive policy. So yeah, with that, we'll move right along. So just want to give a big thank you to all of our members. We have so many dues pay members that I see on this call tonight. I know myself and Diana and Kevin and David and Cole and many others on this call are members. Thank you for being so supportive, for coming out to the block walks and the phone banks, for paying dues to support these calls and allowing us to continue the revolution. So if you've not joined us as a member, please go ahead and do that today. I think that some folks will be dropping those links in the chat throughout the call. And with that, I'm going to pass it over back to Diana.
All right, thanks, Carla. So we wanted to just highlight our block walk for Brandon Murden. He's running for City Council District 6 in Mesquite. Today's election night. I'm on pins and needles. Brandon is an incredible progressive that's running, and I really, really, really hope he wins tonight. In fact, I have a good feeling about it. So let's hope it turns out in his favor. But it was incredible to be out there block walking for him, getting to speak to voters. And we also went to the polling location that he was at to just show our support. So again, Brandon Murden's running for District 6 in Mesquite tonight. He is our only endorsed candidate for this election cycle, but there are so many other candidates that are also running that are definitely exciting to see, just everyone participating. So I'm sure there'll be others as the election cycle progresses, and definitely look out for all of the candidates that I know will be supporting in the primary, because there's just so much going on. It's so important for all of us to get involved and support incredible progressives, because as Carla said, when we organize, we win. So with that, just keep a lookout for all of the great events that we'll be hosting in the future. And as Carla said, tell your friends in Mesquite they have 25 minutes to go vote for Brendan. So make sure they get out there. But with that, I will turn it over to David.
Hey, thanks, Diana. Yeah, this is super important. This is going on right now. So we need everybody to call, text your friends, your family, your neighbors, get them out there to vote right now. You have about 15 minutes to get out there and get in line. If you're in line before 7 o'clock, you're good. You can still vote. These are super important amendments that we need to get passed here in Texas. Except for 3 and 4, vote no on those. But other than that, yeah, just hurry and yeah, we got to get this going. So I just wanted to touch on that real quick. Let me pass it to Carla.
Thanks, David and Diana. And finally, to round out our chapter report, y'all, so many, again, on this call, y'all are amazing, have been showing up. Julio, Jay, Kevin, Diana, Stefan, Kimmy. I'm going to give everybody a shout out. They've been showing up. We had 2 strategic session meetings. So that's where we do some heavy duty planning for the future of OR North Texas. So, you know, I'm just going to do a quick plug. If y'all have not joined our Slack, please, please, please drop your emails in the chat if you can. We'll send you that invite really quick. So you can join these meetings to help us plan for our events, recruiting, and all sorts of things. So I will go ahead and pass it off to Kevin now.
Awesome. Thanks, Carla. Thanks, Diana and David. So we have an awesome session, awesome event we wanted to let you know coming up this Saturday with Representative Jasmine Crockett. We will be going over the redistricting, what just passed throughout the Texas House and was signed into a law. So we're going to let you know what's happening at the House, the Senate, Congress, and even the State Board of Education, why they're important in our local areas and why it's important for us to know what's happening. So then when these primary elections come up this March, we are ready with the knowledge and we have the resources we need to know what is happening. And so that leaves us to feature an awesome speaker that we have today. I would like to introduce my friend, fellow organizer in North Texas, Nap Pempeña, with the Malaya Movement of Texas. Awesome. Hey, Nap.
Hi, Kevin, and hello, everyone. Thank you for making space for me for the presentation. Very grateful. Again, my name is Nap. I'm primarily an immigrant rights organizer, organizing Filipino migrants and workers, but also Locally, I'm part of Malaya Movement Texas. We are very new. You probably never heard of us, but Malaya Movement Texas is an organization of Filipinos advocating for human rights, human rights and democracy in the Philippines. Yeah, so some of you may not have heard about the Philippines recently, so that's what I'm here for, to talk about what is happening there and why it's important for Texans and North Texans specifically. No, so yeah, I don't have a presentation, so please just bear with me as I talk through these points. So just a quick rundown for folks who are not what is the Philippines. It's a Southeast Asian nation. There's about 110 million of us around, mostly in the Philippines, but just decades of migration. There's now about 4 million of us here in the US and about 250 Filipinos residing in Texas, working in healthcare, engineering, and different other industries. So, if you all don't know, the Philippines was colonized by the US directly for about 50 years. But ever since they left in 1946, the Philippines has remained arguably a semi-colony of the US, where the US has direct and indirect influence over the policies in the Philippines, whether it be military, economy, culture, politics, etc. No. And so ever since the period of colonization, early 1900s, the Philippines has been a source of raw materials, cheap resources, including cheap labor for the US. And that's where the first waves of migration came in. And then you have 1960s when the racial barriers racial quotas, 1965, I think, Immigration Nationalities Act. That's when more Filipinos came into the US as professionals, nurses, doctors, etc. If you are in education or in healthcare here in Texas, chances are you're probably working with a Filipino. Yeah, but just bringing it back to the Philippines, I know that our Revolution Texas is concerned a lot with climate justice, the climate crisis, right? Well, the Philippines is at the forefront of that fight against climate crisis. In terms of biodiversity, the Philippines is in the center of the World Center for Marine Biodiversity. The Coral Triangle, if you've heard of it, the Philippines is in the center of it, and with the rising temperature, rising water levels, Filipino fisher folk and indigenous people and environmental defenders are definitely feeling it the hardest. All right. So in terms of Texas Philippine connections, the Philippines is host to many Texas and US-based corporations. So imagine Chevron, Shell. So they operate a lot in the Philippines. So running oil and gas resources over there, really profiting off of it. And Texas Instruments, AT&T, when you maybe call for customer service, chances are it would be Filipino workers on the other line. And unfortunately, through the pandemic, they've been the hardest hit due to unscrupulous labor regulations. Then Coca-Cola and a lot of other American corporations actually. Yeah, and so I'm just speaking to also speak about the intersection of our fights, especially around climate crisis and the climate justice your concern about endless wars, which is also our concern in the fighting corporate monopoly, which plays out a lot in the Philippines. In terms of climate activism and environmental activism, the Philippines is still in the top 3 worst countries for environmental defenders, behind Colombia and Mexico. And since 2016, about 166 land and environmental defenders have been killed under the current regime of Duterte. In terms of labor, again, the Philippines is one of the top 10 worst countries for workers. 32 detained labor organizers and 56 unionists have been killed in the last 6 years. And unfortunately, what enables the human rights violations against these sectors is the military aid that is being given by the U.S. to the Philippine government, military and police as well. And that's why for us, part of our advocacy here in Texas is, together with other chapters of Malaya and other organizations, is call for the passage of the Philippine Human Rights Act to curb military aid going to the Philippines until certain human rights conditions are met. And that's why I hope, I piqued your interest tonight, and I hope to get your support and the support of other organizations and other circles here in North Texas in calling for the passage of this. It's probably a similar experience, but it's been hard to get the attention of Colin Allred. He has a very significant position, being that he's in the House Foreign Affairs Committee, which is powerful in determining the fate of this bill. So we're trying to get the word out and get as much support as we can about the Philippine human rights situation and the Philippine Human Rights Act. That's it. I can drop links here, basically hoping to get statements of support. If you know folks in other groups who would looking for donations as well, and endorsement for the Philippine Human Rights Act and collaboration in general around this issue. So I'll be dropping those links and resources below. Yeah.
Awesome. Yes, it's so important that we uplift this message, because as we know, human rights happening across the world still impact us today, and we should not be supporting, especially when we are the ones contributing to the issues. Carla asked in the question in the chat, is there any social media that we can follow for the Malaya movement here in Texas or nationally or locally in North Texas? And with the website, I'm pretty sure NOP's going to be sending all the info. So please sign this petition. Let us know, especially in North Texas. Let our reps know to support it. But we're not done with this conversation, because we are actually going to go to breakout rooms for it. But for everyone that's on the Facebook Live right now, please join the link that's on the description. And you can find all the upcoming links for our events with the link in our chat. And so we are done on the Facebook Live, but we're going to go to breakout rooms, y'all. So have you heard of the current situation that NOP has been talking about? And then what are some of your reflections of this happening? And so we're going to go to breakout rooms. And when we come back, it's going to be around 3 minutes. And then when we come back, we're going to have one person from each room say about their reflections. And so to represent the group, so be prepared. And we are going to go into breakout rooms right now. Awesome, y'all. We'll see you back. Awesome. Everyone is back from breakout rooms. So we're going to have room 1 with Carla and Claudia, or I could be pronouncing wrong, so bear with me. Does someone want to speak in that room, what their reflections were? Have they heard of everything happening before?
Yeah, I can go. Claude and I talked a little bit about, just making sure that we are supporting like great candidates who are gonna actually fight for bills that are going to be beneficial to not just the US or not just the special interests in the US, but our global neighbors as well. Because it seems like we have a lot of people who claim to be progressive, but they only want to be progressive in a US sense. So yeah.
Awesome. For room 2, we had Chris, Diana, Kimmy, and Millie. Would anyone there like to speak?
Millie, you raised some really great points. Would you like to share?
Sure. We just discussed about how it seems that in a lot of countries that are either current U.S. colonies or former U.S. colonies seem to be, suffering a lot of environmental damage. And we talked about how a lot of it goes unnoticed in the United States because our public education system doesn't really do a good job of teaching about, the world and global current events. So it was good for me to hear what was said at the presentation because it was new to me, and I always enjoy hearing new things. And at the same time, it's also distressing that I didn't know about it. Diana mentioned as well.
Thanks, Millie, for that. And then so for our next room, we had Cole, Julio, and Stuart. Anyone there would like to say something?
I guess I'll just start a little bit, and if Stuart or Cole want to add, feel free to. But I think the biggest takeaway is I first heard about the Malaya with, I know in Garland ISD, there were some teachers from the Philippines that were having issues with like regularizing their legal status, which was something that was, promised by the Garland ISD representatives. That's the first time I heard about them 2 or 3 years ago. I don't know what happened with that, but I also wanted to say that as Our Revolution North Texas, I think it's important for us to know what's happening and uplift it. But above all, one of the things I love about OR North Texas is that we help elect candidates that will genuinely care about and even champion all of these issues, because all of this is important. And obviously, just like the Philippines, there's issues in many other countries. And I just want elected officials, one, that genuinely care about these things, and two, will champion real solutions to all of these things. So I think that's one of the things I love about OR North Texas and Our Revolution in general.
Awesome. Thanks, Julio. For the next room, we had David, Mary, Nap, and Shanita. Is there anything y'all would like to say?
Hi, yes, sure, I'll say something. I learned a little bit more regarding the Philippine Human Rights Act and their desire for democracy and equal rights and just the basic freedoms. And then also learned that not a lot of Texas representatives, by the way, this is Shanita, I'm sorry. Not a lot of Texas representatives are fighting for their rights. And I think the main thing that they would like here is for other, people seeking elected office or, elected officials to gather more support for them. And then he also compared it, what's happening in the Philippines is compared to some of the communities here in America, but it clicked off right when he was getting ready to answer that question. So if he could, share with us when he said he compared what's happening in the Philippines to some of the communities here in America, or is he talking about like the minority communities, or if he can just expand on that, that would be great.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Shanita. Just to compare the situation, with the human rights situation here in the U.S., killings among police brutality, right, and killings, racially motivated killings, while it's not the same gravity in the Philippines in terms of racism. The very bad there in the last 6 years. Filipinos, about 30,000 Filipinos have been killed under Duterte's quote-unquote drug war. So they hide the police brutality, lack of due process, just outright killings under the guise of drug war. And on top of that, the drug lords are still out there making money. But 30,000 people are now dead in dying every day under this regime. And that's partly because of US military aid being sent. Yeah.
Awesome. It's so important to highlight. I mean, not awesome. Like that's what I was like to move forward. To move forward to the next room, we had Jay, Leanne, and I think D. Is there anyone in that room who would like to say something?
This is Jay. We talked briefly about like the Philippines history and how U.S. foreign policy has been affecting the Philippines in a way. And I agree with what Julio said and what Carla said, that we should elect or support candidates that are in the right position in foreign policy and the US military positions and all that, so we can help the Philippines.
Awesome. So we're gonna go right back into our regular meeting. Thank you so much for everyone who's able to participate in our discussion. And so, awesome. I'll pass it to Diana.
Thanks, Kevin. Definitely wanted to give a reminder to join us and volunteer. We definitely need all hands on deck to make sure that we continue to not only elect progressive candidates, but also to get to work on all of the initiatives that are needed across the Metroplex and all of the national initiatives to continue to progress all of our values. So there's an opportunity for you to volunteer today, either join the recruitment team. We definitely need more folks to join OR. There's an opportunity to join the comms team to help us get the word out on everything that we're doing right now. And of course, fundraising is critical to the movement. If you feel like you have a knack for getting folks on the phone and asking them to donate a couple of dollars here and there, whatever they're capable of, please join us. You can sign up at ortx.us.North Texas. We'll also drop that link in the chat. We'd love to have you. And again, we need everyone and anyone, and please tell your friends and family to join us as well. I see Kevin also dropped the link to our website that has all of the great links. And it also brings us to our next point is, if you would like to stay up to date with everything that's going on, all of the events, the monthly calls, all of the great reminders that we send out, please join our Slack channel. That is also the place where we can have discussions, share articles, stay informed, and really keep in touch throughout. So please join the Slack channel. We will also drop that in the chat. And there's, if you do head to that link on the website, it has all of them, including the Slack channel. But again, please, we say it every time because it's really important. That's where all the information is. So please join us today.
Awesome. I'll pass it to Carla.
Thank you, Kevin. Just want to say thank you to NAP for joining us. I think they had to run. And thank you, Diana and David and Kevin for everything so far. We're in the final stretch, y'all. I did just want to call out because I think we might have skipped over your question, D, just in regards to engaging our reps in Texas. You know, that's absolutely things that we're working on in those strategy sessions, how we can actively engage and hold accountable and set expectations for our representatives, because one of the things we touched on was education, and our legislature has a hand in funds that are allocated, and also just when it comes to making sure that we have our voters informed, our people informed on things that are going on. Vote them out. Absolutely. We absolutely need to get them voted out. But we can ruffle some feathers too, go knocking on some doors and demonstrating outside offices. But with that, you know, you can join the Slack to hear more on that, and we can talk about some fun stuff now. For our December meeting, y'all, we're gonna, in lieu of a meeting, we're gonna have a holiday bash. We have been long overdue for hanging out, showing some some fun recognition for everybody and all the work that we did in May and June, and even within the last couple of weeks for Brandon, continuing this movement. So we're hoping for Tuesday, December 7th, 6:30 to 7:30. Could definitely go a little bit later than that, because we're thinking of having either something virtual, potentially in person, considering how comfortable folks are. Of course, we want to make sure everybody is safe as a priority, with just following COVID protocols. But yeah, we're gonna jump into this final round of breakouts and just see, like, what are some ideas? What would y'all like to do as a chapter, as our Revolution North Texas, to have a little bit of fun for the holiday? So Kevin, I think you're gonna split us up real quick, and we're just gonna chat a little bit and get some ideas.
So just to reiterate what Carla is, this one, you're going to introduce yourself. We're going to have a little bit more time, around 5 to 6 minutes for this one. Introduce yourselves with everyone in your group. And then also think about Carla's question about that we talked about before, of like next meeting, etc. And if you get changed in there, just let me know, or there might be some switch ups based on who's in there. But I'm going to open the rooms now. Awesome, y'all. Is there any thoughts that stood out in any of the breakout rooms? We just had 3 for this time. And so if you're group 1, you had Julio, Kimmy, I'm pretty sure y'all know the rest. Was there any thoughts for the next meeting that stood out?
Oh, I'll go, Kevin. David has invited us to wherever in Oak Cliff, and he's got the booze. I don't know if that's your house, David, or your favorite bar, but he's invited us. And it's BYOB is what we sort of tentatively decided on.
So it's party at David's house?
Party at David's house.
Right now.
All right, cool.
Awesome. For room 2, we had Diana, Millie, Cole, and I'm pretty sure y'all know the makeup of the room. Like, was there any that y'all would like to say? Any thoughts?
We had a really great discussion, and just as we were, getting into it, the breakout room closed. But I will say that it sounds like everyone in our group is comfortable meeting in person, which is exciting because virtual has been great, a great solution during the pandemic. But I think a lot of us can say that we're happy to see people in person as well. So. Yeah.
Awesome.
Looks like we're all ready to go to David's.
Awesome. That might be an option. And then don't worry, we'll have another set of breakout rooms. Like if you had a right after this, so be prepared. LOL. But for room 3, with Carla, Jay, Michelle, is there anyone in that room that would like to speak?
Yeah, I'll speak. I was gonna give Michelle or Jay the chance to. We discussed like in person would be fun. However, we just want to make sure we're aware of like the weather, since it started getting chilly today. Hopefully in a month it won't be too terribly cold, but also would be interested in a hybrid of online and in person, if that way we can have more people joining.
Awesome, awesome. So now we're gonna recreate the rooms. It's gonna be 3 as well as was before. And so with these set of rooms, we're gonna have it to where same question, meet new people. Hopefully, don't get me wrong, Zoom might put you in the same rooms or have some things, but if it's like a lot of the same, just send one person back and I can switch some things up. But other than that, same questions of who you are, introduction, and thoughts for next meeting. And the rooms are open now. Awesome. So you already hear, we're having some conversations about what has been happening in room number 2. And so there has been lots happening. And so with room number 2, do y'all want to say anything? Jay, Julio, Carla, Shanita, Stuart, anyone would like to say something?
I guess one idea is maybe whenever we have the invitation for the information, like ask, do you want to join in person or by computer? And if we have 1 or 2 or 3 people that want to join by computer, then we can set up like the projector and speakers and etc. to make it hybrid. But if 100% want to go in person, then we don't necessarily need to make it hybrid necessarily. So that's one idea. And then second idea is we can have a poll if we want it Tuesday or if we want it Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening. We could have a poll, just an idea.
I like having a poll. Let's vote. I don't love a weeknight.
I think that's a great discussion. Well, any thoughts of, we can probably just send out a poll once the meeting's over, like through the email, and then people vote that way. Sound like a plan? Awesome. In room 3, Diana, Kimmy, David, Cedra, anyone, and y'all have some idea, their thoughts?
David and Clement were talking about karaoke.
Yeah.
And reminiscing on election night watch parties, but we didn't really agree on a location. So I think a Saturday would be better. So we can have flexibility with location too.
Awesome, y'all. So we had some awesome conversations, some awesome time to meet with each other. And so now we got the election updates. And so while everything was happening, while everything was going down, we got some great results. We got some not the best results, but I'll just dump some results that have been happening statewide and nationally on some races y'all probably know of. I guess the main headliner nationally is like the Virginia race. The Republican Youngkin is with 54%. And so that's not looking the best. Another one was in Austin. If y'all heard of Prop A of like the increasing of police funding, it is failing with 67%, so it will not pass. And then right here in North Texas, Brandon is at 48% after early voting. However, there are on the East Dallas County Democrat slate, they have like 3 people, one winning by like 83%, another one winning, another 2 going to runoff. One, I think, Diana, Jeff Casper, he's going to run off most likely. He's in first place, and then another one, Elizabeth, I forgot her last name, most likely was going to go to a runoff as well. And so those are 2 people. Mesquite, I haven't been able to check on the amendments, but then the last election is in 118. It's in San Antonio. Y'all probably heard about it. It's a House race happening. The Democrat after early voting is winning with, I think, 51% with 150 vote lead in early voting. So that is the current races happening across North Texas, Texas, and Austin. The amendments haven't really come out yet because like counties are still trickling out in terms of like a statewide calculation, but not surprised if they all pass. Sadly, but you know, we can keep it going. We'll have some time after this, so we're just going to give some more updates on lastly, then we're going to have the Zoom open for another 5 minutes, 10 minutes if y'all want to talk, chat, but we have some quick other updates we'd like to share, and so I'll pass it to David.
Hey everybody. So yeah, so it's kind of what we've been talking about here. Our December meeting is going to be kind of that type of celebration type thing. So that means our next meeting like this is going to be on January 4th at 6:30, same place and time. Be sure to join our Slack to have all the updates on what's going to happen. So here's our website, ortx.us/North Texas. Be sure to join us. It's going to be 2022 is so big it's a midterms, so it's going to be huge, and we need everybody to be aware like what's going on, coordinating and organizing. So just be sure to join us. Thank you. And so yeah, back to Kevin.
Awesome. Thanks, David, for that. And so, like we're saying, we have lots of exciting events coming up, and we will be informing through email. If you join our Slack, etc., you'll find it. And also, if you follow our Instagram or any pages, RevNTX. And so I also put in the website with all the links there. So if you have any questions, but we're going to have our meeting open for a bit of time. If y'all want to stay back, ask some questions, how to get involved, talk about some election results if y'all want to. And that's pretty much it. But for everyone that's here that has to go, thank y'all so much for joining, and have a great night.